welcome back. It's Claire Cousins, one of the organisers for Textiles East Fair. I hope you've been well. The weather here is starting to cheer up. It's sort of spring here now. Today's a little bit colder. Yesterday was much more sunnier, so a good time to come into my workroom and have a play. It's going to be a play day today, so I hope you enjoy the video of the miniature landscape I'm going to make for you. What I will do before I start on that, I'll just share with you some of the other things I've been doing. As I say, it's Easter half-term holidays, and since the February half-term where we had Textiles East Fair, I've been busy with all those kits that I purchased. You may remember, if you haven't already watched it, there is a video of me and my daughter describing what we purchased. So I'm going to show you the latest results. So this was one of Anne Kitts' panels that you embroider. You can use her inspiration or you can go off on a tangent. I've partly used her inspiration and then partly gone off on a tangent. So that was one of her panels, and you do what you like with it. Then I also, this is Anne Brooks again. I bought her kit, her Seaside. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can see that. That isn't the colourway that she does. Her colourway has got pink in it. I wanted to go with the yellow, so I've changed the pinky tones to the yellow tones and added some felt detail. So there's that. That's an Anne Brooks. Then from Louise Nichols, you may remember I bought the Snowdrop kit. So I've made the panel. I've now just got to make it up into its mini quilt. The backing and the wadding comes with it, and I've already sourced a twig for it to hang on, so looking forward to getting that done in the next couple of days. And that's not all. I'm a bit mad when it comes to sewing. These are so addictive, these kits, I have to be honest with you. This is another Louise Nichols, and this has been done for my daughter. It's in a mount at the moment, and the frame will be sorted soon. So that's one of Louise Nichols as well, and that comes with all the kit and the stitch guide and everything. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed doing all of them. So I've been hand stitching a lot. My sewing machine, well, one of 3 sewing machines has been out of order. It's actually my favourite machine, and those of you who have favourites know that when your favourite machine is out of action, it's quite devastating. So I took it to Silver. It is a Silver sewing machine, so I took it to Silver, and I said to Dave, I said, if it can be repaired, please repair it. If it can't be, I'll just buy a new one because they're brilliant. And he took one look at it and said, oh, I'm reckon just a service will do. And yeah, so a service later and it's all repaired. So thanks ever so much for Silver for sorting that out. Much appreciated, because I thought it was going to be a big job, but as it turned out, it wasn't too bad, and it was just the price of a general service. So yeah. So anyway, my sewing machine's back, which means I can do some free motion embroidery for you today. And I've started to plan out some kind of landscape. I say plan out, I'm not planning it, I'm just doing it as I'm going, and I'm just basing it on an image near me, a landscape view at the end of my road, which has been unfortunately damaged, so it's almost like a memorial to that beautiful landscape. Can't be helped. So you see these boxes here. I'm going to grab these, I'm going to tip them out into a box and have a rummage for some blue sky, or as I say, I'll show you the sort of, this is what I mean by scraps. These are literally scraps, really are. They're not much bigger, and I've got some bigger bits, but the biggest bit is usually probably about that size. So I'm going to be rummaging through this, finding my sky, and then in the green box I should be rummaging for the actual landscape materials, the fields, etc. So that'll be on the green one. So I love my little sweetie jars of, I call them sweetie jars of yumminess. Some people would say, Claire, seriously? It needs to go in the bin. That's the sort of thing my sister would say. She'd say, why are you keeping all these little bits? And believe it or not, that's a nice piece. That'll make a nice bit in the landscape. I wonder if it's too late to put that in. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to get my pieces together, start cutting it for you, and then start machining. So don't go away, and I hope you enjoy the video. What I have got so far is I've actually cut out a piece of spare felt. It is scraps, and it's I can't remember what it's from, actually, another project. So this is a piece of felt. I don't actually know how big it is. I'll just measure it for you. If you're working in inches, it's 4 by 5.5. If you're working in centimetres, it's 14 by 10, very roughly. It doesn't really matter because you can use as little or as much as you want and trim it down. So that's what I've got so far. I've had a good old rummage in my jars behind me, as I mentioned earlier, and I've selected out some bits and bobs that I think might work. It is going to be a landscape that I'm making up, so I've no idea how it's going to look. So you'll just be watching me work out, fathom out what looks good. I've also selected some threads here. I like variegators, so most of them are. Normally I don't tend to use a lot of gutter, but this time all my greens, apart from this one which is a Metla, they're actually mostly gutters. I've got some greens, I've got some brown. And some blue for the sky. Now, we don't have hills around here much. There's a few, but there's not many because we're in the flatlands. And so I'm going to try and do some hills to try and, yeah. So anyway, the sky then, I don't know whether to do landscape or portrait. I think because this piece of blue isn't quite big enough, I might go portrait. The only hill near me is the end of my lane, and it was spanned by 2 beautiful trees each side, and you could see the hills in the distance and the 2 trees each side. Came home this week to find the trees have been lopped down. Don't know why. It's really sad to see. They are public trees, so must have been the county council. And that view now has gone, so what I might do, I might just do that type of view if I'm going to do a portrait, because that would work really well. So that's my sky. That's just a piece of dyed fabric that I've dyed myself. I've got some batik that I might use as like the far hill. Might need to curve it and cut it into shape. Normally I try to put the darkest hillside behind. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? Stick to my rules of darkest hillside behind. Now near us we've got lots of fields being ploughed, so I'm just wondering whether to incorporate ploughed field at that would be at an angle, wouldn't it? Because you'd sort of see the furrows. I'm not sure. I think the brown might be too heavy. The thing is, there is brown fields near us currently, and the first crop is just coming into flower, and it's not quite there yet. It's called rapeseed oil. So yeah, it does need the field in there, because the field is important to us around here. It's a big farming community here, and as I say, a lot of the fields are being ploughed at the moment. I don't think I'll have all of that. I think I might take some of that, snippet of that out. So it's just, you can see the field being ploughed, getting ready for the crops. Can have some hedgerow plants just here, I think. I quite like this colour. I don't know if that's too autumny. It looks quite autumny now, doesn't it? I wanted it to be a spring view. Yeah, I suppose this sort of limeish green is very much around at the moment, so let me cut a bit of that off. Again, this is a piece of dyed material. Don't really want to put a helican there. I don't know why I did that. Might put it that way. That might work because it looks like the crops going off into the distance, because that's, yeah. Okay, so now there is a farm track. What I'm thinking of is through there, and then there's like a hedgerow each side. So, you know, I liked this wool felt, but I'm not sure that it works. No, it doesn't really work. This is why you have to get loads of bits of fabric out, so you can see that might work all scrunched up like the bank. I do need to visualise with the path whether it is an actual tarmac, but I'm going to do a bit of artistic license and turn it into just a farm track. I could use that as it. I think yeah, I'm kind of bending round, disappearing off into the, oh, that's a good point. Where does it just bends off into the distance, doesn't it? So I suppose I should really get that more of a bend like that, because it kind of disappears off. I'll actually do it off centre a little bit, I think. Need something here, just a bit of green. Got this. I could put that as an undercolour there, like that. Because what I might do is either use some of this stuff, which is like I don't know what it is, like a chiffon-y type thing, or I might use some of this, which is actually that's quite nice. Might finish up using that on this side, just there. Whoops. Yeah, at the moment it's looking a little bit of a mess, but I think I can roughly visualise how it might look. I think I might, that might work better. That does work better that way. Okay, because then I've got the field sort of just ploughed across. I don't know if you can see the corduroy there. I think I might pop that there. Yeah. Okie dokie, so I'm going to cut a little bit off. Don't want a field to suddenly stop, so that's going to go like that. That path kind of continues behind that little, almost like a little ridge. So there's a little path, the trees coming up each side, I think. Right, now it's all a little bit creased because these are all, as I say, been jammed into my jam jars of scraps. A little bit of of that on each side. I've got hopefully got enough, if not I'll use this one. Perhaps a little bit of both. Yeah, I'm sure some stitching, I'm sure that'll work out okay. So I'm going to get my iron out. I don't know, I quite like that. Sometimes the textures of the material is quite nice. Might just pin it. Just pin it and stitch it. Now it's at this point you can choose to use a sewing machine, or you can choose to do hand stitching. Now I do love hand stitching, but my sewing machine's just come back from being serviced, so actually this will be a good opportunity to check out how it's doing. Now I could be fiddling some time with pinning, so you can come back to me when I'm all set up on the sewing machine. Okay, so here's my trusty little sewing machine that I love to use. It's nice when it comes back from servicing because they actually do check out all the stitches for you. It's nice to remember the stitches the machine has, to be honest. That isn't all of them actually, I've just noticed. There's more than that, but yeah, so it's nice to see that it's been done. And they've actually wound up a whole new bobbin for me as well, so that saves me a lot of energy and time. Right, I'm going to convert my sewing machine to free motion now. So because it's been for service, I've tightened up my screw, so I'm going to have to get my screwdriver out. Right, it took a little bit of effort, but I eventually got it off. So that's that part of the foot off, so put it nice and safe in the front. And now I can put this one on. So I'm not sure if I've ever shown you how these go on, but you have to just hook it around the screw there. Just make sure, let me just show you here, I might need to zoom in a little bit. So this bar, there's a little bar just here, you need to make sure this little lever is just above it, and this is hooked on here, and you just tighten it up here. I mean, I tend to finger tighten it, but you can get the screwdriver to it if you want. I'll just tighten that. I might just use a screwdriver just to finish tightening that up. Now this is, as you can see, is quite a large opening. You can get ones that are a lot smaller. You can get one that are what's called open toe, which they have an opening here. I quite like this one because you can see what's going on, and this one is spring loaded as well, so that's quite nice. So once you've fed up this top part of the machine, you then need to, my drop dogs are at the back. Now sometimes the drop dogs can be at the front of the machine, they could be at the end of the machine, so you just have to read the manual and find out where you could drop your feed dogs. It's called darning mode, often depends on how new your machine is. It might refer to it as free motion, it might refer to it as darning. I'm going to put the sky on first. So I'm going to thread this machine up. Now, just in case you want to know what my machine is a Silver 1035, which is no longer in production. However, they do still have a model very similar. I like it because it's a little machine, it's not too heavy, but it is all metal inside, metal workings inside. It's got a drop down, drop needle and drop needle up mechanism. It's got your needle threaders. I'm not selling it because what I'm saying is I'm not a salesperson. I'm not sponsored by Silver. I just love their machines. What else can I tell you about it? It's got a nice selection of patterns if you want them, but it hasn't got too many that it gets overwhelming. It's just, and what I also like about it is because I hurt my knee not long ago, I don't have to use a pedal. It's got a stop-start motion on it, which is what I like. So, yeah. Anyway, some of this stuff that I'm about to do, you can just use with a regular foot, I will say. You don't have to do free motion. Do you know what? I think I might put some clouds in that sky. I've got some white organza, which is handy. So what I might just do is do some sky-like shapes. I'm going to fluff them up a little bit, pop them on. I'll just do 2 of those. Just roughly cut out, nothing special. Frame them a little bit. Oh, completely distorting it. There we go. I don't know if that adds to it or not. We'll see. Okie dokie. Alright, I'm just going to do some stitching just to hold this bit down. So I'm going to just go down. I need to make sure my foot is down because, yeah, it is. Because often it looks like it's not down. I'm going to bring my needle back up, and then that will bring the bobbin up, and I can pull it forward. And I hope my hands aren't in the way too much. Oh, a little bit. So I've now got the bobbin and the needle thread and like underneath out of the way, and I can do a bit of stitching there. I'm going to stop, put my needle down, and I can just trim away those threads so they don't get tangled back in. I can keep going. The squeaking noise, I will point out, it's not the sewing machine. It's actually the spring, and I could do with some oil. I don't think I've got any. That is definitely the spring. What's nice about free motion embroidery is the fact you can go backwards and forwards to create areas of interest. I'm happy with that. I've changed the thread up now, and you'll notice I've also tacked the green bits in place because I didn't want there to be too much pins in the way. So I've changed up to the green thread. I'm just starting off by needle down, needle up, and bringing that forward. I did a bit of texture into this one, and then I'm going to add a bit of, I might have to change colour because I think this is too dark for the other pieces, so I'm going to change the colour and come back. if you can see here, but I've done it so I've gone from side to side, but it's actually created what looks like grasses growing up here. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, there you go. I'm not entirely sure why my camera keeps going out of focus, so I do apologise for that. Right, so this section here was just to get a bit of quick texture there. It's going a lot of that's going to be covered up with some muslin anyway. Yeah, so hopefully so far you can see I've got all the rough stitching in that's going to hold it for now, and I can come back in with some more detailed stitching. And I can put my trees in. I can have a tree each side. I've decided, like the view that I would have had at the end of the road before the trees were cut down. I need to stitch across the top here just to get that brown field in, because that's just supposed to be, say, the ploughed field. Yeah, it's getting there. Just need to add the textures now. So I've got some muslin and I'm going to put here, though I think actually I need to put the tree in first. Now, trees aren't actually brown. They're sort of greys and greens and mossy colours. So I'm going to try and find a greyish thread for my tree trunks. And I'll come back in a minute. I have done one of the trees. Well, I've sketched it in with the grey. It's not showing up brilliantly. So what I might have to do is go over it with something a bit stronger. Yeah, it's disappointing actually, but hey ho, I am only playing, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to do the tree this side now. I don't know if you can see that, but I've now got, oh, you can't see it at all very well. There you go. I've now got two trees in. They're sketched in, and I think I'm going to have to do quite a lot more work on there. Now, this is always the thing I worry about now, because I actually quite like my sky, but do I put leaves on my trees or not? It's supposed to be a spring view, so technically yes, I'd have to. But yeah, I hope you've got the idea of where I'm going with this, and I'll probably do some more work on this and show you how I'm getting on. I'm hoping you can see here that I originally sketched it out in grey. It's almost a ghost-like image of a tree, so I've gone over it in a brown. It is I know I've introduced brown now to bring it out, so I'm going to repeat that with this other tree. So hopefully you can see that's bringing that out now. I'm going to work on, I think I might improve some of the stitching here. Definitely going to put some more foliage here, stitch in the path there, and yeah, and then I've got some threads to trim up, and it's getting there. As you can see, I've added some more stitching in the field just to knock it back because it was too imposing. I've done a bit more stitching all through here, and I've actually done some more in the background as well. So there's more stitching. In fact, I don't know if it's a bit of a stitchy mess. What I'm going to do now is I'm converting my machine back to regular sewing because that lovely stitch sample I showed you at the beginning reminded me of a stitch that I had that looks a bit like plants growing. So I'm going to use that one now with quite a thick variegated thread to add some little plants at the bottom here. And it's a bit like a feather stitch. And that just gives a little bit of extra plantage there. That's quite tight and might lengthen the stitch so it's a bit longer. You can see it just adds a little bit of texture, so I might just do a couple more on this side, and then I've got a basis for some hand stitching. So I've got those there just to add a little bit of something, and then I'll put some hand stitching on and I'll show you when I'm done. What I might also do is actually put some textural stitching using a thick thread on the bobbin. Yeah, I might do that. Okay, I've wound up a bobbin with a thick rayon. It is a Pearl Crown rayon, drab green. Okay, doesn't tell me what the thickness of it is. It just says 319, which I'm assuming is the colour. But anyway, it's a thick rayon, almost like a, I don't know, perle. And I'm going to pop it in, and I'm not going to put it through the tension disc because I want it to bunch up and be all curly. And I need to take this foot back off. I need to drop my teeth again. Pop that back on. And I'm back to free motion embroidery. Now the difference with this now is that I'm going to be sewing it upside down. So I'm going to be sewing along this edge. Hopefully I can see where the path is, because I don't want to sew it on the path. And that's how it looks. It kind of gives it a bit of a shiny texture. I'll trim this bit away. Right, so as you can see, I've been doing some daisy stitch for the leaves. I've been doing French knots for the pink blossom. I've done a little bit of sort of herringbone or feather stitch down here. I'll probably do some straight stitch as well in a more lighter green. And so eventually this will all be like blossoming trees and all spring growth. And it's sort of moving away from the winter into the spring, and I will show you again a still shot at the end. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye for now.